buenas tardes. Bienvenidos a la semana 3 en que vamos a repasar capítulo 2. So welcome to week 3. We're going to work on chapter 2. So as you enter and you come down through the contenido, go to semana 3, and the first thing you're going to see is where I put this video. Okay. Now, the video, again, as always, will go through everything that you are going to do during this week. So the first thing we're going to review are the objetivos y metas, or our objectives. During this time, during this week, you're going to be identifying and talking about family members, so you're going to learn familiar vocabulary. You're going to indicate possession of people and things, like my brother, their house. The reason being is you may come into contact of children who are speaking for their parents, or older children who are speaking for their parents, parents speaking for their children, and so it's very important. You're also going to learn how to make an appointment using appropriate structures for times and dates, and therefore you're going to be learning numbers that go above 100. Okay? You'll also be learning what the months of the year are. We will be conjugating regular Spanish verbs in the present tense and using them in conversation in the form of statements and asking questions, answering questions. You'll be formulating questions as well as answering them. They could be yes, no, or questions looking for information. We'll be working on the appropriate vocabulary, the intonation of your voice, whether it goes up at the end, like, are you here? You are here. The first one went up, the second went down. And word order. We'll be looking at the difference between a formal register and an informal register. Okay, there is a difference, for example, on how, even in English, how you would speak to your friends versus how you would speak to a policeman. Okay, and the last two, you're going to be able to express location as well as current conditions using the verb estar, and learning how to use negative constructions such as nothing and never. So you'll be watching this video, you'll be reading the textbook, we'll be covering pages 33 through 66, and you will complete the corresponding My Spanish Lab activities. Now there will be 2 quizzes in My Spanish Lab. Again, you will have dialogues due, the Dialogue 3 due on Wednesday and Dialogue 4 due on Sunday, so January 24th and January 29th. You want to log your 2 hours of cultural language or cultural contact, and you can begin working on your language cultural contact presentation, which actually will not be submitted this week, but the Sunday of week 4, so February 5th. Okay? And finally, February 2nd and 3rd, Thursday and Friday, we will be scheduling midterm oral exams, and you will have my Google Calendar in several places in order to sign up for a time. Okay? So let's go through the lista de tareas, which has a couple corrections that need to be made. But you will see that here I have the Semana 3 plan. Okay? So you can download that. It's a Word document, and it just gives you a very specific breakdown of everything of Chapter 2. Okay? So again, I mentioned we'll be covering Chapter 2, pages 33 through 66. Okay, and all of the My Spanish Lab activities again, and all the quizzes will be due January 29th, that's Sunday, by 11:59 p.m. Now the quizzes, I apologize if it gets a little, kind of combobulated here in the fact that the last 9 of the My Spanish Lab homework assignments are going to count as your quizzes. The first 3 will be quiz 1. Then the last 6 of those final 9 will be quiz 2. Okay? In quiz 3, those items are 10 points each, and you have only 5 minutes to complete each activity. Now, the 6 activities at the end, they're 5 points each, and you have 7 minutes to complete each activity. Okay. I may be reassigning partners for the dialogues, as some people did either drop the course or just have not shown up ever. And so we had some rushing this, our week 2, in forming new partners. So I will let you know Friday, January 20th, as to who the partners will be. Okay? And you will have your Dialogue 3 due by Wednesday and your Dialogue 4 due by Sunday. Hey, make sure you log in your 2 hours of language, cultural, and contact, and you can begin working on that presentation. Okay, so if we go to Dialogue 3, okay, Dialogue 3, again, you have all the general information. And this is a diálogo entre una recepcionista o una paciente. So this is a dialogue between the receptionist and a patient. You want to use the vocabulary and the structures and expressions that you learned throughout the chapter, and particularly on pages 33 through 49. Okay. You'll run through the dialogue twice, okay? Switching roles in between. So you want to make sure there's the appropriate greetings. The receptionist will introduce him or herself and ask the patient his or her name, how he or she spells the first and last name, how he or she is feeling, what is his or her birth date, his or her address, profession, and what time is his or her appointment, and then the appropriate thank yous, and close your conversation. Okay? Again, you will, although it states Google Hangouts on air, if you're able to do that, great. However, I would recommend using a program like Skype combined with Screencast-O-Matic. You just want to make sure that both you and your partner can be seen and can be heard on the same screen. Sorry. Okay, Diálogo 4. This is a diálogo entre un doctor en la sala de emergencias y un paciente que acaba de tener un accidente de bicicleta. Okay, so here we have Dr. or Doctora Perez and a young man or woman. This person just came into the emergency room, sala de emergencias, after being in a bike accident. Okay. So the doctor will, you'll have your appropriate greetings, and the doctor will introduce him or herself and ask the patient his or her name, how to spell the first and last names, how he or she is feeling, where he or she lives, what the time is, what is his or her birth date, and with whom he or she lives. Because again, we'll have the family vocabulary in this chapter, so you want to try to incorporate that. Even if you don't live with family, you can make something up. That's fine. And then you'll close that part of the conversation. Okay? And again, I know it says Google Hangouts on air. We were able to do that in the past. It's not so easy to do nowadays. But if you know of another program, please let me know. Okay, so if I go back to semana 3, Diálogo 3, Diálogo 4, language and cultural contact presentation. So if I click on there, first I give you the detailed instructions in a PDF format. Okay, but basically here's just a summary that came right from the syllabus. You're going to be using the information you gained from your 2 hours of cultural contact and language. Those 2 hours from week 2, the 2 hours from week 3, into a presentation for week 4. Now this presentation is going to be a PowerPoint presentation with a voiceover. So I find that Screencast-O-Fi Lite or Screencast-O-Matic works great for this. So each presentation is going to include a summary of the activities used for the contact hours. So, how many hours did you spend watching TV, or how many hours did you spend conversing, or how many hours did you spend reading in Spanish? Okay. Also, some of the new vocabulary learned. You don't want to give an entire list of everything you learned, but more or less a summary, because you don't want this presentation to be more than 5 minutes. It should be 5 to 7 minutes total. But really, I want to know, what kind of cultural practices or what kind of cultural nuances did you observe? What is different How did you see people, if you watched something, how did you see how people acted around each other? And how does that compare or contrast with the culture that you have grown up with? Okay? Now, your beginner Spanish course, so this is going to be in English. Okay? Okay, so please let me know if you have any questions regarding that. Now, I do give an example of a good language and cultural contact presentation, but it does go way over the designated time limit. So please try to keep your presentations to right around 5 minutes, but please no more than 7 minutes. Okay? And you can try to make it as interesting as you can. You know, try to get us to want to watch what you watched or to want to do what you did if you converse with somebody. Okay? Okay. Now I've already received emails about this, so hopefully that will be a little bit more clear. Okay? The next thing we have is the sign up for the midterm oral exam. So you have that up above, but again, here's my other link. You want to make sure that you sign up before Tuesday, January 31st by 11:59 p.m. Okay? And please, you need to contact me ASAP, as soon as possible, if you have a time conflict. Okay? And the recursos, again, this is just where you are going to find outside help. I have taken from a different textbook in some cases, some of the PowerPoints that they had. And you have a pronunciación del alfabeto. Now this is not from a different textbook, but it will help you with the pronunciation of the alphabet. Here's some explanation of gender of nouns and some exceptions. Okay, so your possessive adjectives. And then starting here, I have the PowerPoints from another textbook on conjugating verbs in the present, interrogative words, how to ask questions, and the verb estar. So hopefully that will all help you out. Okay, so that wraps up for week 3. Bienvenidos. Si hay preguntas, entonces escríbanme. So let me know, write me if you have any questions at all. Gracias.